Today, come on, just chill with us. It's ChillPoint. Hey everybody!
Hello.
Oh, what a
In,
beautiful
in between taking our screenshot and me sitting here, the sun has started to come out and hit my bedroom. And I'm like, oh, I'm already starting to get kind of hot. So
I am rolling up my pants. There we go.
oh, I'm wearing the secret tech of I have a skirt on, which is basically like super comfortable. It's you get to feel dressed, but it's like you're not wearing pants at all.
I am wearing my Pikachu yoga pants.
Mm.
I mean, I would say a skirt is a lot like not wearing pants at all.
But I still have a socially acceptable bottom layer on, right?
That's true. I would need like a utilikilt or something. Because an actual kilt would just be way too heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Utilakilts
I mean, now's the time, Beige.
Utilakilts are also very heavy. Adding utila to something that never makes it lighter.
That's fair. Those look heavy as hell. Like when I see people wearing them at conventions, I'm like, wow, that looks like a lot of like the cargo kilt just looks like a lot of shit going on. You need like a sports kilt, as Aitsu points out in chat. You need like a thin, form-fitting spandex sports kilt to keep all my stuff in place.
So like bike shorts, but they're like joined together.
Yeah.
It's like a tube.
Yeah.
A tube skirt is what you want.
Yeah, I want a pencil skirt. A pencil skirt for men, so it must be in a dark color.
I mean, I actually recommend Beige for maximum comfort. You're going to want something high waisted with like a cottony construction.
Okay.
Because a high waist will sit on your natural waist and be a lot more comfortable than like a low waist that's going to be pinching you around your hips.
That's fair.
I think once we went to like spandex tube skirt, that we weren't going for the maximum comfort anymore.
I was considering dumping belts and moving to suspenders. Though I feel like I need to have the Terry Crews body if I'm going to really pull off suspenders. He looks so good in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm just like...
He does.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he also looks like a triangle. Like an upside-down triangle.
That's not the suspenders, though. I mean, I think Terry Crews... Like, if you're looking to Terry Crews for, like, oh, that looks good on him, I should wear that. It's probably not a good idea for almost anything he wears. Like, I think he looks great in everything.
Somebody at Comic-Con a year or two ago asked the panel, and the panel was clearly... They'd had a little bit to drink, but not a lot, is what it looked like. But they asked Terry, it's like, you know, is there anything about your character that isn't just kind of... Because they've seen, you know, people get used to, oh, you must just be your character, because everyone just calls you Terry anyway, right? And so he's like, they're like, is there anything about your character that's not you? Like, what's the one thing about your character that is not you? And he's like, oh, man, that's actually really hard, because, yeah, that is kind of... There's a lot of me that I kind of put in my character. Oh, I know. I never wear suspenders in real life. And the crowd was shocked. Like they were blown away. And I'm like, of course he doesn't wear them in real life. It's like, no, I don't think they look good on me. And that was the thing that got everybody when he said that.
Wow. So if you're interested in wearing a skirt, remember, gender is a societal construct. It's a spectrum. Just wear a skirt. Very comfortable. Great, very breezy this time of year.
And while we all live in society, we're also all living inside a society right now.
Exactly.
And nobody has to see that you're wearing a skirt. So, yeah.
Do what you want. Be comfortable and happy.
Yeah. Exactly. So, today... we are going to be talking about fashion advice, apparently. But also, we may occasionally delve into video game news. Because this is ChillPoint, where we talk about all the video game news that we thought was interesting over the last week or so. Before we record our actual CheckPoint episode, which we'll be recording later on today and going up probably tomorrow. that will be a very well edited, very tightly structured, expertly written comedy piece. This will be us just talking about the stuff that will probably make it into the Checkpoint episode, and also stuff that won't make it into the Checkpoint episode because it's too dumb or not dumb enough. It doesn't hit the line of amount of dumbness. Although I will say I feel like we haven't excluded a lot of stories for being too dumb before. There's got to be one that we've excluded for being too dumb, but
how I mean, unless we remember, how would anyone else know?
That's true. Anyway, how we like to start these last little while is we do kind of a sample reading of the stories that will be in the Checkpoint episode. Not necessarily the final versions, but this is this is a sample of what will be in the Checkpoint episode, I guess you could say. Yeah,
and a moose bouche.
Should we start with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Kathleen.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Bungie had to do the thing again. The latest monthly activity rolled out in Destiny 2, a community event where the entire player base has to work together. And it lasted 36 hours before Bungie massively nerfed the requirements to appease an irritated fan base. After much of this season had already focused on a new multiplayer PvE event called Seraph Tower, the community was pretty sick of it. It was tedious, rewards were minimal, and some enemies could just randomly teleport onto the objective, making it needlessly tiresome. And while it was ostensibly an event designed for 9 players, you could only ever make a fire team of 3, meaning you'd had to hope to get paired at a public zone with 2 other full fire teams, something that has never happened in the history of the franchise. And if that particular issue sounds familiar to lapsed Destiny players, it's because similar matchmaking woes plagued the previous activity Escalation Protocol, and the Blind Well, and Destiny 1's Archon Forge, and Court of Oryx, and... Anyway, things turned grim when Bungie announced that after players had dealt with all of that for a month, the special mission and reward this month required the community, as a whole, to clear Seraph Tower events a total of 9 million times. This was not received well, and Bungie quickly flipped some switches so that the completions will now count 5 times. We'll have a five time bonus on weekdays and a 10 times bonus on weekends. And a few enemies have been nerfed. Not the teleporty ones that are annoying, but a few. But for some in the community who don't want to run this event at all, this isn't enough. Especially when an ornament for this weapon is scheduled to be added to the Destiny 2 microtransaction marketplace in 5 days. Some are even suggesting that the community does nothing, because what's Bungie going to do? Not release the new gun they want to sell skins for? I've never seen a games community say to its developers, "Don't give us the new content, you cowards."
Like, this is...
The base level rebellion is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is actually kind of an interesting like philosophical question about these kind of events, right? It's like, you know, is there a chance that the community will fail? Right? Like,
yeah,
could the community fail? And if it does, what happens? And it's like, well, if I guess they don't get the thing. But it's like, but they do all the work to make the thing, so presumably they want to release it.
But it's like, but I love that idea of that. Oh, so they don't get the special gun, and it's like, or the special thing, and it's like, we just spend a bunch of time though also making saleable skins. We were supposed to make money off of skinning the thing that they're supposed to be winning.
So what actually is really interesting here is I feel like this almost could have worked. Like the article in Polygon here is talking about so after 28 hours of this being live, players had completed 6% of the 3 million of one event, 1% of the 3 million of the other 2 events. So
wow, everybody's like, nah.
so
Like
they
you were,
got
they were.
so 8% overall, I guess. And so keeping going at that rate, it would have taken more than a month to unlock the thing.
Right.
And this whole event ends in 27 days, right?
Oh, you'd have to go super hard.
And so, but like that's almost the right. Like if you were talking, like if you wanted to set this up where it was like, we might not make this. Like we're 25 days into this, and we still have 10 days worth of stuff, and you guys might not make this. Like I feel like that's almost close enough that like that could have actually worked as coming down to the wire and people being like, yeah, let's get this.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah. What it reminds me of is so Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. This is gonna be a weird thing. But what it reminds me of is sometimes on Pocket Camp they'll do a thing where it's like, hey, we want to get 1 million retweets, or we want 3 million of whatever. Usually a Twitter thing. So it's the 1 million retweets thing have been a thing. Is like if we can get 1 million retweets of this one tweet, then we will give everybody 10 Leaf tickets, like that kind of thing. And Leaf tickets are the in-app currency. And so it reminds me of that because I'm like, because we're setting what seems like an impossible goal, but if everyone just kicks in a little bit, you'll all do it, and then we'll all give you this trinket. Essentially, we'll all give you a thing as a result of it. And I'm like, those pay out every time, and I never participate in them because it means having to go on Twitter. And that's even a thing where it's like, hey, we want you to leave our app and go to a completely different app that we have no control over and we don't run. Then do a thing in this completely different app, and then we will give you an award in the app of ours that you're currently using that we're developing. I mean, and I'm like, that always pays off. And
it's Leaf tickets.
Like, in your own app, you can't make it pay off.
I know.
Like, and it's Leaf tickets, which is something that they didn't actually like spend resources to develop.
Exactly, and it's
actual like item.
Yeah.
Hey, Paige.
Yes, what's up?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I'm kind of. It kind of blows me away that I'm like, it's a very mobile game kind of experience. And when you said that it's like, oh, it's we might actually make it, but we might not make it, so everyone's got to kick in and do it. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Maybe there has to be a thing where it's like, if 80% of our player base actually completes this quest 10 times or something like that, then we will pay this out. And then everyone's like, oh, well, once you've done it 10 times, you're kind of on the hook for that. But then you might not get paid out if 20% of the user base doesn't do it. And I'm like, that would be kind of a thing where it's like, are we going to make it or not, right? And then it doesn't feel like we can totally make it. All I have to do is give up every waking hour I have for Destiny 2. Join me, comrades. Like,
but I mean, that
seems really exhausting.
But like ostensibly, that's what they're trying to encourage. Not every waking hour, but they're trying to encourage people to engage with the game more than they would be otherwise.
Yeah, but if not enough people do it, then everyone's like, well, if we want to, I've already put in, 15 days of playing nothing but Destiny 2 straight, and we're still not going to make it. So now I have to do even more of it because I don't want to miss out because of FOMO.
Have you? Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of FOMO, have you opened Pocket Camp at all since New Horizons came out?
I have. I have been completing the things because the most recent event was a Daisy May gardening event, and it was fucking brutal.
Well, probably because so many people are not playing that game anymore, eh?
Yeah, and it just feels like over half of my friend list has been gone for over 30 days, and I'm just like, these people I don't even know that I have on my friends list, right? And I'm just like, I don't like doing this, but I can't stop myself. But I haven't opened it in the last couple of days. But I haven't really opened Fire Emblem Heroes that much. I haven't really opened Magic Puzzle Quest that much. Like ever since playing New Horizons, I'm like, oh my god, this is the everyday experience of dailies that I want. Something I know I can finish, and if I don't, what does it matter? It's just me.
Exactly. Like, yes, there's so much stuff to do on your island every day. You got to shake trees, you got to chop wood, you got to dig rocks. But you don't actually have to do any of that stuff. You can chop trees if you need wood. You can dig rocks if you need stone, right? But it's not like, do all these checklist quests to maintain engaged with the game. Otherwise, you'll miss out vis-a-vis other people.
It's
right?
like I've discovered spreadsheets that I hate filling out, and now I've discovered a new spreadsheet that I love filling out. And I
Well,
want to do the spreadsheet that I love.
I like
yeah.
the way you're talking. You sound almost like you feel guilty for abandoning these games.
Yes. That's it exactly, Paul. I feel guilty that I'm not playing the game because I'll miss out on my free orb every day, or I'll miss out on the 3 cards that I get every 6 hours in Puzzle Quest. Ikoria just came out.
Let it go.
I barely fucking cared about Theros Beyond Death. Anyway.
You know what's very interesting?
What?
That I have a very limited amount of video game time per day to play video games, right? Like between work and Penelope and stuff like that. I can't just sit around and play video games and have her watch me all day. She'd be fine with that, but I wouldn't, right? Because she loves video games.
Yeah.
Because she's a child. All children do. But like now that I'm home all the time, I'm not squeezing in my video game playing on my phone. I'm using my phone to like check Slack or the news or stuff like that. Occasionally log into Twitter. And if I've got video game playing time, because I'm at home, I'm going to pick up my Switch, right? Yeah. I'm going to do half an hour on my Switch on my couch rather than, screw around for 15 minutes running tiresome chores in Pocket Camp, jamming the same button over and over again and having personality-less interactions between me and a bunch of animals.
Yeah, getting Pete the Pelican to just deliver them their shit, so the little exclamation marks go away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the 2,500 Leaf tickets I've been holding on to, I've been starting to spend.
Oh.
And I bought 2. I just was like, F it, and I went ahead and bought cookies for the first time in my life, Kathleen.
How were they?
I went and bought 2 rounds of 5 of Hopkins Switch cookie, and got a couple of display walls and a new Nintendo 3DS XL, a new Nintendo 3DS, a GameCube, a Wii U console, and the Virtual Boy. And I'm like, oh my god, I was so happy when I got all of those things because I didn't have them yet because I already have the blue-red Switch. I was like, I have all of the virtual console things I can put up for display now. Actually, this is all I ever wanted. Why am I still playing this fucking game? These are the only things I wanted in the game.
You know what really did it for me is quitting Pocket Camp. Remember how much I coveted the Red Zen Bridge from Glady's Cookie?
Yes!
You can just put a Red Zen Bridge across any river in New Horizons.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Man, if you could get like 3DSs and Switches and Virtual Boys from Fortune Cookies in the real world, that would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Be weird looking Fortune Cookies. Be kind of ungainly large. But
give the game away.
Yeah.
People would probably want to eat their Fortune Cookies after they were done eating their Chinese food.
Yeah, you could be like hitting a bread bowl. What's this weird cube-shaped cookie? I'll read the story.
Yes, let's move on.
All right. PUBG, or Player Unsung's Botterdamerung, updated the PC client, which has the player base up in easily looted arms. First, they've added a ranked mode, which doesn't seem like that big a deal, until you discover that every other mode now features bots in the player base. PUBG has said that adding bots was for the benefit of new players who are usually immediately mowed down by much more experienced opponents. But according to veteran players, this will change the playstyle and culture of the game. The culture of immediately mowing down new players. It's not clear why PUBG didn't just add 3 modes: ranked, unranked, bots welcome, and unranked, humans only. But we believe they are fearful of becoming the focus of a new David Cage game. Second, the M416 has had a weapon balance glow up. It now does 40 base damage, with a muzzle velocity of 780 meters per second, and the damage curve is now 50 meters to 350 meters. You'll note that I didn't provide the original specs for this gun, because if that matters to you, you're not watching CheckPoint. You're busy writing toothless threats to PUBG's social media manager on Twitter. And hey, don't do that!
Nice.
This has been a long-standing story because PUBG has had bots in console, I think, and in mobile.
Yeah,
which is like
they started doing Yeah, they
does.
originally did bots in the first time they released them was in their when they released the mobile client, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever actually done a story about PUBG's bots, or we did a story about bots, I thought, at one point, but I couldn't quite remember. But this is now a big deal because the PC client now has these bots. And people are mad because there is no unranked mode that's just, I want to play an unranked mode that's just humans only. I don't care if I have to wait a long time for it. And that's fair. I think I would want that if I was of a certain skill. Right. I'm not. I would want bots in the game. I want to have things that I can shoot so I can practice seeing things moving around. And that's something that's always bugged me about these Battle Royale games is I'm like, I get in, I die within the first 3 minutes, and then I
to somebody who you didn't even see.
Right. And then I have to leave and I have to figure out what to do. And I'm like, I'm just trying to play a game. I guess this isn't the kind of game I want to play, even though it's really fun to like run around in the prison area and pick up stuff and kind of hide out and feel all tense and shit. But then the moment I die, I'm like, all that tension is gone. So I don't know why they didn't add a humans only mode, but.
Oh right, yeah, there was problems. I don't know if it was PUBG. I think it might have been a different Battle Royale game. I have to look at the stories for last week, but yeah, there was a problem thing where people were ending up in games that were just one person and 99 bots.
Which should make you feel like a god, right? Like,
hopefully,
briefly, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, a god, the god of a really stupid world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ostensibly the other issue is that, of course, as various Battle Royale games kind of change in popularity, filling up a game of 100 people becomes a little more difficult, so.
Yeah. And the weapon balance thing is just something that happens to games, and people are just furious because the M416 is a very popular gun that does really good damage, and now they're like, "You've nerfed it."
It was the long-standing best gun.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of, this is not related to our next story, but this story. But speaking of how battle royales tend to, wax and wane in popularity, I saw, and of course, this is just me seeing stuff online, so I don't know if this is, strictly true or not. But I did see somebody, did see some people talking about how, older teenagers are playing less Fortnite because it's getting to be more of a younger crowd.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
it is pretty silly.
Yeah. But maybe you'd if you're going on Fortnite, maybe most of the kids in there are 10 or, between 10 and 13 or something like that. And maybe your 16 and your 17-year-olds are doing something else. They're playing a more adult game.
Yeah.
Whatever the equivalent of GoldenEye these days is.
Yeah, what's the more adult version of, is it PUBG or is it something, or Valorant, or I wonder what they're going on to now.
Apex Legends or Advent or...
Call of Duty Warzone,
maybe they're trying to get Valorant codes too, who knows. But Warzone, though, I mean, yeah, that actually... Because Warzone's a game where you can just jump right into it, right? It's let's just play this, and it's...
Oh, apparently people in chat who I'm going to assume are better, know things more than me, it's Apex or Warzone. Okay. Which makes sense, right? Fortnite does have that younger more cartoony look. So.
And when you get to be a certain age, you're like, I can't play this because it's not in shades of green and brown.
This isn't a true war simulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Accuracy is completely out the window.
Yeah.
I'm excited for when Penelope is old enough to I don't know what game she'll be playing. Maybe Animal Crossing on Nintendo voice chat with her friends, and they'll all be farting around on each other's islands or something.
I had heard that. Animal Crossing is one of those games that'll probably hang around for 3 or 4 years on the Switch, and then, that probably get a big update too. She might be the right age where it's I want to do this now, and that could be things happening. Who knows?
I honestly think she's already the right age to play Animal Crossing because she has ideas about what she wants to do and can read all of the menus. Right?
Oh, cool. Okay. So, I was going to say, how's her reading comprehension? But I was also like, that's nobody's business in the chat how her reading comprehension is. I don't need to get into that here.
I'm surprisingly, Penelope appears to have well-developed language centers.
Good.
Given that both of her parents write for a living. She's 4.5. So yeah, she can read. But anyhow, next story.
Yeah.
Speaking of battle royales, do you remember The Culling? It was all right, and it was one of the first battle royale games. And they sure remember that they were one of the first battle royale games, even if most people, and by extension, the game's profits, don't reflect that. Especially when this should be the developer, I think, especially when the developer released The Culling 2, which was such a garbage pile of hastily cobbled together assets, they pulled the game after a couple of weeks and refunded everyone's money. So now The Culling is back with a third kick at the can, The Culling Origins, and it's brought with it a new pay-per-match system to try and actually make some money this time. Under the new system, you get one free match per day. And after that, you gotta pay. You can buy 3 match tokens for $1, 10 tokens for $3, or go for the $5 best value bundle of 20 tokens. But what if you're just really loving the game? Well, you can also buy an unlimited 1-week match pass for $2, or just subscribe to a whole month of Culling by paying $6. Is this their marketing strategy, to make a pricing structure so utterly bizarre we can't help but talk about it because no matter how many times we read it, we're sure we're getting something backwards? Congratulations, then, I guess. This free advertisement will cost you the dollar equivalent of 3,400 match tokens, or 1,700 months. I think?
They're using like a midway pricing system. I mean, like Beej was talking about with the, like, you know, you get, like, I haven't played Culling, but you get into a game of PUBG, doop, 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 snipe in the head, dead.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today. Like, we literally, our show where people are playing Battle Royale game is called One More, because that's, like, the thing.
It reminded me of if this was like an arcade. You know, you want to play another game, you pump a quarter into the thing. Also, you're in an arcade that only has one game that no one remembers, that not many people are playing, and if you leave, you can't get your money back for the tokens you bought.
So an arcade, yeah.
The world's shittiest arcade because it only has the one game.
Yeah, one game, and you gotta like buy the tokens and do the thing.
I think Graham had also said in reading this that it sounds like if you win the match, you can continue, and
that's
then
true.
Somebody else next, I guess. Like,
but that's like one out of however many. I think it's 64 or something.
Okay.
So there's not going to be a lot of people who are going to be able to continue.
There might be just one guy out there, one person who's just like so good at it that they're just like, I put a quarter in once and I've been playing for 32 hours.
I mean, you know, those people at there's people like that at the arcade, you know.
Yeah. It's like, sir, you have to go home. I'm turning off the breakers. That's how we used to do it, actually, when I worked at an arcade. Is it was like, how do you turn all the games off at night? It's like you go to the back room and you just basically clunk all the breakers down and everything turns off. I'm like, that doesn't seem. It's like the world's most, like, it's like the worst power bar to me. I was just like, that doesn't seem like a way to shut these things down. I was like, nah, it's fine. Clunk, turn everything off.
It's probably fine.
Yeah. But it's weird. I would pay, if I was going to play, I'd be like, I'm not going to buy 3 match tokens for $1. I'm going to pay $2 and then I have a 1-week match pass. I guess if I really want to like hunger though, I'd be like, I'm only going to buy 3 match tokens because I don't want to risk putting like, I want to have to work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, considering that they're, you know, what they're competing against is, say, Fortnite, which is free.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to, especially like this. The game is not actually free to download. It costs like $5 to get the game at all.
Yeah.
To even get that one game per week or per day.
It feels super weird, and I'm like, I wonder if that's and that's what made me think. This has to be on purpose. A weird starting price for a game that was free to play, but now it's no longer free to play. Then also paying per play, you know, dropping those quarters into a slot, but then also you can buy a pass for way cheaper. And then you feel like I did when I bought a greens fees for a golf course, where I was like, well, my parents spent $120 on green fees, so now I have to golf 13 times in the next 3 months while the weather's nice.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's a certain amount of sunk cost thing, you know.
Yeah, I have to make it use. I have to use it up so it's worth it. And by the end, I hated golf.
That sounds like something you would do, Beige. Continue to do something you hated to make sure you get your money's worth.
Yeah. Well, after I said to my parents, I'm like, the guys want to golf. I want to go golfing with them. They're like, okay, we'll pay for your green fees. I'm like, okay, cool. But I did not like doing it after about the fourth time. I'm like, this was a mistake. Oh, well.
All right. And the next story, yeah.
Hey, Animal Crossing fans, let's talk about the Void. No, not the existential place where all your free time is gone. Let's talk about the very real place where your villagers go after they leave your island paradise. Here's how it works. A villager leaves your island, so they disappear from sight and their home is vacated. But their presence, for lack of a better word, hangs around in the background. Said villager has entered the Void. Now, a few days later, you invite a friend over to visit your island. Your friend has a free spot on their island. When your friend returns, they will discover soon after that your departed villager is now moving into their island. Your villager has come back from the Void. Can anything be done? No one is certain. The Void is inescapable, and all who fall into it are equally likely to be dragged along to a new home. If a villager has left your island, their presence, their spirit, may linger long after their departure. Warn your friends, tell them of the Void, or all may be lost.
Nice. Yeah, so this is apparently something from previous. This is not a new thing for New Horizons. This is something that has been the case and been apparently like a meme in the Animal Crossing community for a while. But it's this idea that villagers leave your island, but don't go anywhere else. So they are nowhere.
Yeah.
And then at some later date, they can show up on somebody else's island, but it's the same villager. They remember being at the previous island. They remember so they're like stored somewhere in cryostasis.
It's basically, it's like, when they leave your island, the record of them having lived there is still part of your island. And so, but the thing that got me is it's like, that means that if as I've said, if your friend visits your island and then they have a space open, when they go back, they're basically dragging the knowledge. They've basically shown up and said to the game, there's a space open on my island, and therefore if they have a spot open, it's like, oh, well, won't it be fun if I just send the villager that was living on my island, which is Marmalade, if I sent it over to I don't know, Belle Isle, which is Graham's island, because Graham has a spot open, then wouldn't it be fun if that villager went over to the other island? It's like, it is kind of fun because it's like, hey, so and so who left your island 3 weeks ago is now showing up on my island. That's kind of funny. We have a connection now. It's like, yeah, except I wanted that person to leave because I didn't want them to be there anymore, and you probably don't want them either because there are now desired villagers.
Maybe you can give villagers like Yelp reviews. You know, be like 2 stars. Don't invite to island.
And the reason why I say the Void is inescapable is because nobody really has a set time on how long a departed villager lives in that void. And it could be that the first person who left your island, they're just going to always kind of be on record as, I know that I lived here beforehand. And if somebody else shows up with a hole in their in their slots, they're going to be dragged along. That's just what's going to happen to them. It's like, you're the first available person. So now you have to tell people, it's like, if you have a slot open, I've had people leave, and you might end up with the one that is in my record.
So I have Sylvia on my island, and she told me that when she moved in, that she used to live on another island, and it was one of the islands that I went to on an island tour, like when I was like touring Lure community members' islands. And I was like, how did that happen? And Graham just had Jacques leave his island, and Jacques just moved on to Ashley's island. So I wonder if he was just like, Belle Isle stinks.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to come to Innsbruck and take Sylvia or Sprocket from me, that would be okay. Not that they're bad. I'm just like, eh.
I like Sprocket's design, so I would probably like Sprocket. But Sprocket has to leave first, apparently, and then I would have to come visit you and have a hole open for that to all happen. And I'm like, I don't think anyone expected this to be how it would happen. We all expected that once the animal's in, like, packing up to leave, that's when you would go talk to them to bring them to your island.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining the equivalent of this would be if, say, you went and stayed in like an Airbnb for a while, and there was somebody else also staying like next door in another one, and then when you left, the other person just came with you back to your house. It's like, no, you don't get to come home with me. It's almost, you stay. They're like, you have a free room in your house.
Almost like the person who was staying at the Airbnb before you, they left. You came in, and then when you left, they showed up at your house. Like, isn't your house an Airbnb too? It's like, no, it's not. I promise it's not. But yeah, real weird, and I guess kind of be mindful of this. Treat it like a PSA, I guess. So.
All right, so there's a couple other stories we didn't talk about. We can go through these quickly. There's a great other Destiny 2 story, which is just a little one, but I love this because there's ongoing events all the time in Destiny, and so there's a thing where every area has an emblem. Or every planet, has an emblem that you can get that's themed to that planet. You can collect them and stuff, right? And people noticed that the emblem for one of the places on Titan now has a timer on it. As in, it's going to expire at some point soon. And they're like, is this going to be a problem? Is something going to happen to Titan that makes it so we don't get that this emblem is going to go away? And Bungie is like, don't think about it too much.
Okay, so it's not a countdown. It's just like a thing that says limited time, and you're like, okay, neat. When you had said this initially, I hadn't read the story, so I thought literally it was like there's a countdown clock, and it's like, what the hell does that mean? If we were to look at the one for Earth, would there also be a countdown clock?
Like usually those usually the limited time tags are used for things that are going to be reset in the new season. So yeah, I just like that.
But nobody's actually sure if this means they're going to blow up the planet or not. They just this could even just be a bug.
It could be, or something will happen that will make maybe just the name of that place will change. Who knows?
Okay.
There's a mod. Somebody has a mod for Final Fantasy VII Remake to make Cloud wear the dress all the time.
That's just for comfort reasons.
Yeah.
We've already talked. Well, they're so comfortable.
And the amazing part is it actually like works. Like apparently, like when you're walking around, he's wearing the high heels, so he makes like the high heel noises when he's like walking around and stuff.
Wow, that's great.
Clip clop, clip clop.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to be stylish the entire playthrough. Apparently it isn't even that, like, it's just like editing one of the config files or something. Like, it's not that extensive a mod.
Huh. Mm-hmm. I almost thought about doing a story on this, but I was like, this is like really like more just of a coming up. And there's not a whole lot there. So we already had a coming up written, but like my take on it would have been like, look, I understand wanting to go for dress for comfort, but this corset thing is no good. You want something, linen, loose knits, think muumuu, right?
Yeah.
He needs a sundress is what you're saying.
It's like dresses can be very comfortable, but not all dresses are in that realm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, right. Of course, it's a PS4 game, so it's save file editing. Right, I was thinking a PC thing, but yeah, so it's more complicated than it would be otherwise.
Yeah.
Civ 4, or Civ 6, I should say. Got my Roman numerals backwards. Civ 6 is getting a season pass, which is not that unusual, except for the fact that Civ 6 is 4 years old. It didn't previously have season passes. They were just like they've done 2 paid expansions, and then instead of doing a third expansion, they're like their third expansion is actually going to be released in like little teeny bits over the next year, and we want people to either buy them separately or you can buy a season pass. I feel like that's not it. Like that's not the correct usage of season pass, but I don't know.
It's certainly a new innovation in thinking about how you can do something like this, though, right? Like that's how it feels to me. Is previously a season pass is one of those things that got released. Like the game comes out and it's like, okay, now within a few, either right now or within a couple of months, we're going to have a season pass subscription so you can get all the cool DLC that's coming. And for them to be like, the game is old, yes, but we could just introduce the same kind of idea now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of different. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, as people have said, the content in the patch is not very far away from what is in what was previously in the paid expansions. So why they don't just put it all together and release it as an expansion? I guess they want to release it as they make it, but I don't know.
Wait, it's so nothing that's in there is actually new, or
no, but it's the amount of content I would say is the equivalent of one of the previous paid expansions. So, but they just decided to sort of smear it out across the year instead of putting it all together.
What a lovely term. Huh. Neat, though. I guess also that helps to, like, if you buy a season pass, then it's like, I'm interested for the month of May, yes. If I bought an expansion, it'd be like, then I'd be interested for the month of May only for everything. And now I'll be interested, hopefully, over the months. I'll be like, I played a little more Civ. Oh, look, it's the new thing has come out. Well, I'll play a little bit more Civ today, play it for a week, and then put it aside. No, the new thing for Civ has come out. You know, I think that's what they're hoping for, to keep it relevant.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if that's how it works. Like, I have a few games that I've got expansions for, and it's tough to get back into a game after you've kind of finished it and put it away. I don't know. Getting, like, an expansion has to be, like, adding a fair amount of stuff for me to actually, like, get back into it. But maybe that's just me.
That does promise generic, more new content. Anyway, go ahead, Kathleen, sorry.
I was going to say, I think that's a pretty universal problem. It's like, there's so many games to play. But, I mean, maybe that's why they want you to buy a season pass, right?
Right. It's the old, whatever, gym system, right? Get you signed up for the season pass, even though they know you won't use it.
Also, this week, Tony Hawk 2 Pro Skater is going to get remastered again.
Yet again.
It's the first one and the second one are getting a remaster. And it's like the whole game, because I think Graham had said the other night that it was like, they did this before, but it was only a few levels. But now it's the whole games, both entire games.
And I think the first one and the second one used the same engine originally, so I guess it's not that hard to do them both if you're doing one.
Yeah, and I think the big selling point here is that all of the original soundtrack is included with this, so it's got all the music rights.
I mean, that's got to be the sticking point on it.
Guess what, kids? That means you can hear what all the music was like back in 1998 and 1999.
Blitzkrieg Bop!
Yeah.
So good.
Might have missed out on all this originally.
Yeah, apparently not all soundtrack, but most. So there you go. So
if you're sick of hearing us talk about the oldies, these are the oldies.
Yeah.
To be honest, the main reason why I marked that is because I wanted to make sure that, we knew about it for purposes of streaming at some point.
I feel like what even counts as an oldie nowadays? Definitely music from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember listening to, when the classic rock station, when I was like a teenager, would play music from the 70s. Right?
Yeah. that's how it was for me too. I was like, wow, this is old music. It's like I was literally born in 1979, but that was old music.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's an argument to be said that oldies is actually like a specific time period. It's not just older than 20 years or whatever.
May I suggest that oldies are the music that was playing back when your parents used to do drugs,
The 70s.
and the 80s, depending, and the 90s,
Yeah.
probably also the 2000s for some kids coming up here pretty quick.
That's true. Yeah. Ay. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if my dad's ever done drugs, but he did tell me once that he barfed out of the side of a moving car.
I have a story about that with my dad as well.
That he got hit by somebody's barf who was barfing.
It's a strange thing if you end up seeing like one of your parents who's normally very like straight-laced and staid go out and have a really good time and drink to excess and not realize it and then get very sick later. And it's like, that's really weird. I've never seen my dad do that before. And then how embarrassed they are the next day, like, oh my God, I can't believe I acted like that in front of my kids. It's like, nah, it's fine. You're a human. You're having fun. I don't give a shit.
Wow, somebody else is like, gosh, I also have a story about my dad doing that. It's almost like people drank more and were way less safe in cars back then.
Yeah.
My mom was the one driving, so Dad was mad because when he got that sick, he had actually just washed and waxed the vehicle the day before, and then he was sick down the side of it, which would have basically stripped all the wax off.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Be a very distinctive
you wouldn't
pattern.
want me to tell the story, I don't think so. So, yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater!
Woo!
Woo.
Disco Elysium, which is, for what I understand, a very, very good game. They certainly spent a long time talking about it on Talking Sim. I think it's one of Cam and Corey's favorite games that they played on that stream.
Nice.
And now more people can play it because they released the working class update, which is awesome. It's a great name because the idea is that they want to make it accessible to as many people as possible, and to do that they have decreased the system requirements for the game. So they've both optimized it and also added new lower settings or whatever. So apparently it's the new update halves the minimum amount of RAM required, and video cards only need 512 megs of memory, which is actually fairly low these days. They're saying a MacBook from 2008 should be able to run it no problem. So
I can't handle this, Paul.
13 years old thing.
Oh, that's about the same specs as my computer. Perfect.
I can't deal.
He's saying we are determined to take it further. We're going to keep optimizing so low that we break through the crust of the other side of the planet. Show us your scrap heap calculators and rusty adding machines. We'll give it a go. Disco Elysium for all.
Disco Elysium on Antique Abacus 2021.
I'm having such a hard time with this. I used to play Doom and Doom 2 and Doom 2 did not run very well on my 386. I cannot handle that. It's like, we've brought it down to the Mariana Trench. You only need 512 megabytes of video memory, and I'm like, I had 8 megabytes of all of my memory, no video card, to play Doom. Jesus. We have come a long way in a very short amount of time.
It's honestly startling how fast technology has advanced in the past, 20 years.
Yeah. I object to the fact of saying that show us your calculators. I'm like, you would never get it running on my 486 that I had or my Pentium computer. I bet you. Bet you.
Yeah, but calculators are better than those now.
I guess that's true.
I like there's a great comment that's the slightly snide comment to be like, oh, so they're preparing to get it to run on the Switch, apparently.
Yes. Maybe.
But it's like, hey, I'm sure they are actually. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on that, unless maybe they've even already announced it. Because and the idea of making it as open. There's actually a great YouTube channel that's like Low Spec Gaming, I think it's called, where the guy it's a guy who specializes in like hacking games, config files to like drop the specs in whatever way he can to make it like look as horrible as possible, basically, and like reduce all the quality. Like, how low quality can you make like The Witcher 3 or whatever? How terrible can you make it look, and how fast can you make it run? It can go. It's pretty impressive what you can get games to do.
Apparently, there's some very fancy graphing calculators out there these days, and maybe they too can run Disco Elysium.
I mean, I bet there's probably like a Raspberry Pi that could run.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Got to bring my link back up and put chat away for a second. Last but not least, I think this is. Oh no, we've got more stories, but we might not talk. I don't know. Everybody, went into this whole pandemic thinking they'd have all this free time. And, that's not been the case for most people, because it turns out cleaning and cooking all the time sucks ass, and it takes a lot of spoons and energy. At least that's what I've discovered. But some people have had the time to be very productive. For example, a Persona 2 guide that was written in 2011 got a huge update. GameFAQs user, that guy 4913 was came back and was like, no, this could be more complete. This deserves more in this day and age. This is the time for a complete Persona 2 guide.
So how did they choose to complete it?
Did you read the story?
I have not read the story entirely
I
yet.
have. I love
perfect.
characterizing it this way, because Heather came to me. She's like, I have to tell you about this update that Persona 2 guide got in 9 years later. The guide was updated to include a message because the author is now a born-again Christian.
Oh, no.
And I'll quote a bit.
Yeah,
years after
there's a very long intro paragraph now.
I now take moral offense at this game and would prefer that neither this guide nor this game exists. The only reason I have not removed this guide is I had submitted it under contract that it be allowed to stay on the GameFAQs site. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say. Their staff has been very helpful to me, and I hope my petitions and comments might eventually reach someone who can remove it. And then it goes on about my complaints are against the glorification of demons and evil spirits and the promotion of witchcraft through tarot, yada, yada, yada. This is an amazing read. Like, it clearly, this person feels incredibly, like, guilty because their religion now is, like, the way they view their religion is putting this at odds, the fact that they wrote this. But my favorite line is, contrary to popular belief, dying is not cool.
I mean,
and I'm like,
I could get behind that as a segment.
Yes. In fact, I think even goth people would be like, you're right. I mean, actually dying wouldn't really be cool. I kind of like being morose and that kind of shit. But
and the final paragraph, I wish I had known about the curse on this game and so many others like it. Where were all the hundreds of millions of Christians while I was playing these games? They must be a bunch of fakes because I never heard a single warning. Well, consider yourself informed, and if you don't believe this warning, then believe because of the consequences. There really is a curse for disobedience. I pray more people will wake up to the reality of the evil in this world and stop supporting it. By the way, tune in tomorrow morning for Kathleen's playthrough
of Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Which, I mean, is not a Persona or technically a Mega 10 game, but it's a Mega 10 game with a very shiny, colorful, thematic layer over top, right? If you take out all of the JRPG and bouncing anime boobs and fan service, it's a Mega 10 game, and a pretty good one, honestly, mechanically.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so and for a content pivot, actually. I saw this on Kotaku, and I'm like, actually, I just want to talk about this briefly because this is definitely a CheckPoint-ish story. At least in my mind, it is. the Samurai Showdown Twitter account had to walk back some overly horny tweets, and by overly horny I mean they literally said the word horny in a tweet.
That would be overly horny.
Yeah, and it's one of these things. So there's a character that's coming out as DLC for Samurai Showdown, Iroha, and Iroha is essentially, when I was watching Iroha, I'm like, holy crap! It literally is just like a haircut and a recolor away from being Shiranui Mai from the other SNK games. She is very half naked, and she's TNA. She's a fan service character. That's what she is. She's been in previous Samurai Showdowns, and even the developer, like the lead developer, was like, I wasn't actually cool with including her in the game to begin with, but people liked her, obviously, and so we threw her in the game, and now we're bringing her back as DLC, and it's just like, oh my god. So everyone in the Samurai Shodown community agrees her purpose is so-called fan service above all else. She even used to do one of her moves in the previous game was literally shoji curtains, or shoji screens would come flying in. You would only see silhouettes. She would strip off what she's wearing, so she's nude. She would do some sort of like acrobatics and shit. Wings would pop out of her back, and she'd suplex the opponent, and that's her finisher. And then her clothes would fall back onto her body, and the screens would move away, and there you go. And Christ, like, the Samurai Showdown Twitter account, the English one, responded to the community's reactions over her reveal by tweeting, "We all horny on main tonight," and then there was a response from someone in the community, a woman in the community, who was like, hey, that's kind of not cool, because I know there's 20-to-1 difference between men and women in the Samurai Showdown community. I've never made to feel more othered as a part of this community than by the official account. That's kind of not cool that you did that to me. And then the tweets came down, and they're like, yeah, we told the admin they fucked up, and don't do that again. But now everyone has come out of the woodwork to complain. So,
and then, of course, there's the backlash, and then there's the backlash against the backlash, and then it's the continuing, like, waves go back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
It sounds like I feel like that's a character that, like, they saw, DOA or whatever, and they were like, "That's popular. Let's
do that, but more.
Let's do that." But they sort of went about it in kind of a ham-fisted way, I guess. Not that DOA has a whole bunch of subtlety into its depictions, but somehow they were like, okay, let's do that, and so they like did it, but the developers weren't actually very keen on the whole idea, and they're like, okay, maybe we can just forget about us doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a fucking tempest in a teapot for no reason. And to be fair,
yay,
I like fan service and I like TNA. I am into all that kind of stuff, but I also am very aware of why that stuff exists in the first place. Like, it's like, I know why that's there. I know that it's pandering to a base need of mine, and whether it's there or whether it's not is like, it doesn't matter to me whether I have TNA in my games or not, but clearly it very much matters to people that they get their TNA, and I'm just like, that still strikes me as really weird, but anyway.
I want you to start more of your stories with. Now, I want to be clear. I am a fan of fan service and TNA, but this new expansion for Destiny is causing a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's welcome some subscribers, because I think that is the last story you want to talk about. Is that correct? Am I?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us for this ChillPoint. And we want to thank you all, whether you are here on Twitch or on the Patreon. If you're supporting us on patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or if you are subscribing to the channel, or you are having a channel membership on YouTube, However you support us, we want to thank you very, very much. But in particular, we want to thank the people who subscribed during this stream, starting with the Cake Meister for 2 years.
Wow.
Very nice. Thank you.
Who's next?
I think you.
Geekenspiel. Welcome to the channel. A brand new subscriber. Thank you, Geekenspiel.
Beowulf returns for 81 months. So
Wow.
many months. Wow.
And for 30 months. I feel like I just ran some sort of terminal command.
James Ian Jam has been here for the big 5-0. Thank you very much.
Mirnus for 77 months. Welcome back, Mirnus. That's a lot of months, too.
So many months.
Richard Erman for 28 months. Thank you very much.
Hey, Chronic Death has been here for 13 months. Lucky number 13.
Do you chronically die? Then you should get some help.
Scarble has been here 40 months. Welcome back, Scarble.
Monsters and Heartache for 4 months. That's definitely like a translated anime title.
Yeah, or like a video game of some sort.
It's like, just makes me think of Gonads and Strife.
Okay.
Wow.
Moosefilled Cat, 68 months. Thank you very much.
And thank you to Belpay, who's been here 22 months.
Canvas Wolf Doll for 41 months. Thank you very much.
A most excellent hat has been here for 5 months, putting all other hats to shame.
Most excellent.
Beckett 13 has been here for 3 months. Thanks for coming back.
Doubles for 49 months. Thank you.
Hey, the Angry Red Bird. What was the Red Bird's power in Angry Birds? Was it just like
I think
going straight, blowing up?
It's the first one?
Yeah, the red bird is like the main bird. Like the yeah.
Protagonist Bird.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here for 28 months, Protagonist Bird.
Dark Abyss Keeper has been here 66 months. Welcome back.
Waffle Fortress for 60 months. Standing Strong for 60 months.
Blessings from the Void has been here for 25 months.
Angnor 33 been here 77 months. So many months.
And Iroha and Gonads and Strife. Gifted
Weird
by
combination.
the Maricat.
Thank you very much, Maricat. And thank you so much for 220 bits from Lord Crusher, H-Bomb, and friends, and Earthen One. The bits. Thank you very much.
And I want to give a shout out to Get Your You, who apparently subscribed yesterday and fell through the cracks in our sub welcomes. We sort of did it in 2 pieces, so maybe they ended up in between the 2 parts or something. But whatever the case, we still thank you very much for your subscription. So sorry we missed that. All right, we are going to go away, but LRMTG will be coming up in at 2 o'clock. Whoops. No. That's not what I meant to do. Ha! Followed by Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, where this is the one that was going to be a couple weeks ago, but we had to delay it. But Ian is going to be cooking. And
He's mobile again.
yeah. I forget what he said he's going to be making, but he's been...
I better not be... Sorry.
Hackster.
I was going to say, it's back injury stew. Oh no, Ian, stop!
Why are you making that? Why are you teaching other people to make that? Stop it.
Cooking up my own pain relievers, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's just like, a pound of marijuana. Just like...
Making pot butter tonight.
Yeah.
And then, as mentioned on Friday, Kathleen is continuing with Tokyo Mirage Sessions. How's it going?
How far did you win now, actually? Yeah.
Well, I complained a lot for the first two games, or for the first two sessions. But in my defense, the game has some very annoying things. Like it never stops texting you. As soon as you do a thing, it's like you should go here, and then you'll get a bunch of texts to go there. But the problem being that the texts will show up while you're doing the thing. So inevitably, like, because the game takes a while to load, so you get them after you have done the thing. So you consistently get a text message saying, oh, you need to go to Shibuya after you've already gone to Shibuya. And it's really annoying. And I was like, people are very chatty. And there's a lot of fan service, but like the second dungeon is really good and it's very fun.
Okay.
So
nice. So that's coming on Friday. And then Friday night, it's going to be the Friday Night Not Paper Fight. And we're going to try something a little different. This is going to be a 6-player Ikoria draft. But it's still going to be an arena. But we're actually going to be using, there's it's not something we made, but we've found an online drafting thing where you can draft Ikoria and then you can transfer that into Magic Arena. So it's going to be played in Magic Arena, but the drafting happens on a separate website. So that should be super neat. And that is going to be Kathleen and
James
and Adam and Ben, both of the Ulmer and of the Wheeler variety.
And Ben.
And Cameron. So that should be a lot of fun. And then on Saturday, we've got more Valorant streaming. You can tell when James likes a game because he'll be like, "Yeah, let's put up one stream of this, see if it's okay," and then it becomes like a weekly thing.
Yeah. So one more returns for however long Valorant interests the people who are in our sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like it's a blast. So.
And speaking of things that interest people in our sphere, Catherine's Island Tour.
Yeah, I actually just finalized what we're doing for the stream this week because, we have guests and we try to contact them ahead of time and give people at least a week to get their islands ready. And if you have ever been interested in breeding flowers in Animal Crossing, let me tell you, it's harder than it looks. It's not that hard, but it does require some finesse, especially if you want to get to them blue roses. So we're doing all flower breeding. We're going to talk to 3 people who have been very successful with breeding flowers, and me, and some other people. We're going to go and look at that.
And you?
Yeah. So far, I've had middling success in my flower breeding, but I haven't been trying that hard because I figure I've got infinite time to get them all, right?
Yeah.
It's not a race.
No race.
Are all the people using like different techniques to breed? Like there isn't like a one technique that works the best that's like a known thing?
Oh, there are multiple different paths to getting blue roses. There are multiple different paths to getting basically every color of flowers.
Cool.
I might talk a little bit about my lack of luck for certain things and how I have fixed that. But mostly I'm going to be letting people who have been better at it than me talk about things.
That was apparently because that's blue rose is something in the real world. I believe a blue rose is something that cannot be. They weren't able to breed. They were able to breed every other color through just crossbreeding, but they were not able to get a blue rose until that was one of the the things that they sort of demonstrated the viability of genetic modification of plants was that they made a blue rose. And they were like, check it out, what we can do.
Yeah, they had to artificially engineer the blue into it as opposed to biologically crossbreed it.
Yeah, as opposed to the Animal Crossing way, which is just to make very inbred roses.
Inbreeding in plants is a little different than anyway.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, it's Rhythm Cafe with Distortions. And then on Monday, more Play It Forward. Monday night, Dice Friends, where Surge is going to be Wait, no. That is
Nope,
not, that is
Andy.
not true. Andy is going to be the animator.
Mm-hmm.
And going to be taking Serge and Kathleen and Dale through something. It'll be silly, though.
All right.
I mean,
The
maybe it
Animator.
won't be. Maybe it won't be silly. Maybe it'll be very serious. We'll see. That's unlikely. So, thanks everybody for watching and joining us.
Ooh, did we mention the Patreon? I can't remember if we did.
No.
I did, but you can talk about it again.
Sorry. Yeah, we're at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And as always, thank you everybody for your support. But if you are having trouble affording your support, we don't mind if you need to cut back or cancel your support altogether. We're doing good, and we appreciate that everyone is kicking in to help. But we realize that everyone's having a tough time out there too. And also, our store is still operating. There's been some delays in shipping, but the store is still up. So if you go to store.loadingreadyrun.com, you can look at our t-shirts. People were asking about, hey, when are we going to get a Gardening with Greg t-shirt?
It's like we have one.
Yeah, had one for about 2 years now, I think.
It's great.
In green and red. And
They want like a Zen one now, though.
Yeah, but thank you to people who are asking about that, and thank you to everyone who keeps pointing people towards it, because that's great. I'm super happy about that people still like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and actually, we were saying we should tell people about that. The Desert Bus Craft Along has
Yes.
is now taking submissions. So if that interests you, get on that. The window for submissions is relatively small this year, so make sure you get in on that. Desertbus.org has all the info for how to do that if that is something that interests you. So thanks everybody for watching, and LRMTG will be at 2 o'clock, but for now, we will talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.